Hey, this is Kai Sharif, and I want to welcome you to our 5 key secrets to develop, write, produce, and distribute your professional looking passion project on a micro budget. I am just so excited to be here with you because this is where you will learn exactly what it takes. And I'm 100% confident that after our webinar, you'll be more empowered than before you came. Whether you are a seasoned filmmaker or even if you've never seen a script before, you will know key secrets to develop, write, produce your quality passion project with confidence on your own. And I want you to be rest assured that we are going to get right into it. I am a cut to the chase kind of girl. So let's go ahead and start this webinar. So before I start, I always like to make sure that I'm talking to the right person. And you may be asking yourself, well, is this even for me? And let me just see if this is you. So this is for anyone who identifies as a director, writer, producer, content creator, filmmaker, and storyteller. So it's for creatives who are burning to tell a story they have to see in like a TV or film format. It's for aspiring filmmakers, actors, directors, producers, just storytellers with just a deep desire to tell a story they want to produce, direct, and or write on their own, okay? And if you are, let me see, there we go. And if you are passionate about, a story and you're really yearning to tell your story and you want to create, let's just say, your own path to victory using the TV and film medium, then this is definitely for you. And if you need a faster, more effective method to get your story out of your head and into a shootable script, then this is for you. And if you want to finally get your project out, produce it yourself, and connect with an audience, then this will be the best 45 minutes you can spend because you are in the exact right place to make your dream a reality. Okay? So in the next 45 minutes, this is what we will cover. You ready? All right. How to develop your idea into a viable and marketable screenplay, even if you have never even seen a script before. We're going to discuss what I call the page to screen method, where we will cover what exact phases you need to develop, produce, and distribute your project yourself, even if you have a micro or limited budget. We will cover the roles you will have to know so that you can ensure a quality, professional, industry-looking project using our page to screen method the right way. And we're going to talk about simple, effective pre-writing strategies that will take your story out of your head and into a masterpiece of a screenplay. And we're going to show you how to know and do all of this without spending months and months and months, years and years and years, working endlessly on a project with no end in sight. Because we've all been there. I know I have. And I want to share what I've learned and the pitfalls I've experienced so you don't have to make the same mistakes I did. And if you are in the middle of one of those mistakes, perfect, because halt right there. And now here you go. You'll have a solution for that now. So, hey, guys and gals, here's my promise. After this webinar, you will have and know the step-by-step guide to take your story out of your head and into a writing plan, know the 7 steps of production, and know how to identify the right place your project belongs in today's market. I know that sounds like a very tall order, but I have clients and producing partners who are successfully doing it right now, and you can do that too. So here's just some house rules. I know that sounds boring. What's house rules? But I just want to make sure, again, I mean, we made sure that I was talking to the right people, but this is important for you to be the right kind of person for this particular webinar. So this is for people who are serious creators. They are truly creative, talented people who have a story they passionately really want to tell. I have to emphasize that. It's not for someone who's just looking for fame or to feel more important or superior to others. I don't vibe well with those types of people, okay? And I'm not going to lie, it's not easy. You will have to roll up your sleeves and learn some skills, be bold, go after what you want. So if you are only lukewarm about the story you want to tell, that's just not enough. You need to have and be more emotionally vested in that. It just kind of has to burn inside of you, because you will need to use that for fuel to keep going. When things are getting challenging, because they will, production days are long. Even if you only shoot for a weekend, it's early mornings, late nights, lots of planning and organizing just so you can execute your production. And so you have to be resourceful, you have to be creative and tenacious, and most importantly, flexible. Because things in production almost never go as planned. You have to kind of go with the flow and have a plan A, B, C, and Z. And you have to work well with others, command a production team full of creatives, artists, and A personality types. So I just want to make sure before we get into the good stuff, let me first check in and see where you are at, okay? So you have to be a disruptor, a revolutionary. Those are my kind of people who want to tell a narrative. But again, most importantly, you have to truly desire to tell your story. So let's see if this sounds like you, because if it sounds like you, then you're totally in the right place. And I know you'll get something out of this, okay? So, do you have a story or stories that you know should be developed further into like a movie or a show, but just don't have a clue how to make that a reality, or even if you will ever get a chance to tell this story? Do you want to produce your own project, but don't have a boatload of cash just laying around to produce it yourself? And you fear like the lack of money is getting in the way of you following your dreams? Have you always wished you could produce and direct a film or project, but because you never went to film school or actually ran a production yourself, you feared you'd fail or your project would turn out horrible and you'd be embarrassed by your project? Do you feel like you are just not the best writer, and every attempt you've ever made to write any of your ideas down just never accounted for much, and you're pretty much just still in idea phase? Or are you a writer, but you just don't have enough time to sit your behind down long enough to write your ideas down fully and in its completion? Or do you fear, oh, I don't know what just happened. There we go. Or do you fear that because you don't have a clue of production terms and like technical things, that you won't ever be able to kind of live out your fantasy as a film director? And do you like secretly wish you had the skills and the abilities and the oomph to just say screw it and just go after your dreams I can't speak, unapologetically, but know you have responsibilities to take care of your family, to be the responsible one, to run a household, and you just can't follow a pipe dream because you fear the risks are just too great? And do you feel haunted by your story, like it's just something you can't stop thinking about, or even if when you busy yourself with, I don't know, life, work, family, and other projects, it still just haunts you? And you just can't shake the story or the characters or the desire to share it. And you know deep down it deserves the stage, and it will and can touch and impact many lives. And lastly, do you want to produce your own project but just don't have the knowledge or the know-withal to produce it on a very slim, trim, limited, aka no money budget? So if any of this sounds like you, I have really, really great news. None of these are actually your problems or your fears. The real issue is you haven't been exposed to the right method that simplifies your process and streamlines the phases of production. And I'm sorry, yeah, there we go. And the insider knowledge to produce and distribute your passion project yourself. And had you had this knowledge, you wouldn't be here and you would have simply applied the information. And we're going to talk about what those are in just a bit, but right now, just remember this. Once you grasp them, once you really get them, okay, you'll realize that you did not have to wait. You didn't need film school. You didn't need, to feel haunted by the story or the characters in your head. I know my characters speak to me all the time. Once you do this, you'll be able to develop, create, and write your stories with ease. You will gain the clarity and have the exact step-by-step blueprint to tell the story you were put on this earth to tell, from the idea phase all the way to the production and distribution phases. And you will have the guidance to decide the best plan of action to produce it, direct it, or pitch your project with confidence. And you will be able to use this page to screen method for all of your ideas and use it over and over again, even as your budgets increase over time. And during each phase of development and production, you will know exactly how and when to execute each step. You will attract the right producers, the right crew, and be able to hire the best cast to execute your vision and know which is the best place for your project in the market. You will learn the most cost-effective strategies so you can produce your project on a micro budget or small budget, but never compromise quality. And you will have $1 million looking project on a micro budget. And you will know the distribution options that are out there that fit your project. Decide whether you want to brand and monetize your own production or be coached through the pitch process of selling your project with the help and the guidance of my own mentors and producing partners. You will be provided the tried and true resources to take your careers to the next level. You will have someone who you can bounce your ideas off of and help develop them with you without having to share the credit with anyone. You will feel supported, convicted, and inspired, and be surrounded by peers and mentors who cares about your project just as much as you do. And you'll do all of this even if you have a busy schedule, demanding family responsibilities, and a commanding job. And so before we can go any further, let me just take 2 quick seconds to introduce myself so you know who I am and why you should listen to me, okay? Because I think that's super important. Oh, I already went through this. I got into what I was saying. I didn't even, y'all can read that. Take a picture. Okay. All right, so who am I? My name is Kai Sharif. I'm known as Kai the Media Mogul. I'm an independent producer, director, writer, and creator, and founder of Infinite Dream Studios. And it's Infinite Dream Studio. There's no S. I don't know why I just added an S to it. Anyways, I've mentored creatives, aspiring filmmakers, screenwriters, actors, entrepreneurs even, and storytellers in screenwriting, production, and post-production, which also includes marketing and brand strategies for over 18 years. My clients and producers I've groomed has went on to produce and build successful and successfully reach their media goals. I can't read. See, when I'm just talking to you, I'm fine. As soon as I start reading, I don't know what I'm talking about. So anyways, I specialize in helping new and seasoned writers develop screenplays from scratch, and I guide them through the entire seven, I don't know why I put five, 7 phases of production. I used to say 5, but I broke the last one into 3. So I said, you know what, let me just call it 7, because that's really what the phases are. Anyways, so let me take a moment and explain to you how I came up with the page to screen method. Okay, I had been screenwriting. I had been screenwriting and teaching screenwriting for over 10 years. I was an organizer of a local screenwriting group and had over 1,000 members at the time. We had gurus from all over the country come and teach, my members. And my peers would refer to me as Kai the script doctor. And so after years of working with new and seasoned writers, I recognized like these patterns, and I came up with writing strategies to make the screenwriting process simple and easier to grasp, because it is a technical writing language. But it didn't stop there. I also taught movie making and production and came up with a method to produce quality looking projects with minimum crew and limited budgets. That became my secret sauce. So my filmmaking friends relied on my advice and my expertise and mentoring to help them execute their professional looking TV and movie projects on these smaller, limited micro budgets. And it was these 7 phases that were the difference between people who were successful and those who were not. And we've all seen those projects that have all the promise and could have been great, but they just fall flat, whether it's their story, their production value, just what it looks like. So the bottom line is this: there are 5 key secrets in each phase. Well, there's 5 key secrets that we're going to teach you, but there are 7 phases of production that you must know in order to take your idea and turn it into a completed quality movie or show. And once you implement them, you can see the same kind of results myself, my clients, and my producing partners have. And I'm going to share these with you just so you understand. Producing quality content on a limited budget is a specific skill. Not everybody knows how to do it. So I hope this sounds exciting. I hope you're like, yes, this is exactly what I need to know. And if it is, perfect. Because most people, think that they have to go to film school. They take a whole bunch of screenwriting classes. They write every single day. They, write for years and years. They buy like the top screenwriting books, and they study these production handbooks and film books, and and they will spin their wheels gathering all this information and still not be able to piece it all together. And they won't know how to monetize their project. And when it's done, or they don't know how to produce it and know what those steps are after. So a lot of times they believe the missing link, and this is true for me at a time too. There was a time where I believed the missing link to my success was because I didn't have $1 million expendable to me. And there's a lot of people like you, if you don't have $1 million expendable to you, or you need to convince, you think you need to convince an investor or an angel investor to give you this boatload of cash for your project just so you can produce it. You think that's what you need to do, right? And some even think they have to have a production background, or be seriously a serious writer in order to be consider themselves a successful writer, director, producer. And while I never, ever went to film school, I stopped taking screenwriting classes over 15 years ago. And I have directed and shot 3 shows, 2 shorts, and produced lots of other projects. And I did my 3 shows all at the same time on a micro budget. And I did it all with a young family, limited resources, yes, no money, and not knowing anybody beforehand in my industry. And people said, you need to go to film school. You need to, write every single day. They said you need to write 10 scripts to be considered a seasoned writer. And people said you can't make a quality professional looking project with no money. Like, who do you think you are? And people also said you need to have Hollywood contacts. And so, but that's just not necessarily the case. What you need is a strategy, a real personalized support and guidance for each project you are developing, from your idea phase all the way to distribution and monetization. You do not need to take classes from script consultants who don't write their own scripts, or screenwriters who've never been on set, or directors who don't know the secrets to writing in a visual way, and what the visual rules of pacing and storytelling and character development and using emotion and mood setting. There's a lot of directors out here, they don't even understand that. And you don't need any so-called producers who can't assess if the script that they are producing is even worth their time and ready for market. I have people who call themselves producers, and their script that they're providing me for me to help them is shit. Crap. Seriously. So the first key secret is you must know all the steps of production, okay? And be committed to quality. What you create must matter, and you can't get a great message out there if your project is just janky, right? So, and here's another thing, you have this passion story you want to tell, and it's just going to be discredited, and the importance, it's going to be discredited because it looks horrible. And there's just a strong importance of high production quality, high production quality. You need to have a quality script, a quality production, and a quality cut. All of those things are necessary. And you also have to know, what those steps are. So first key thing is be committed to quality. I want it to be very, very clear that I teach industry standard, quality, rich, meaningful, creative storytelling. I'm talking professional actors, talented crew, powerful story that's well written with strong character development. I am anti-amateur. I know we all have seen these movies that could have been great had they had better actors, had they didn't have audio issues or bad lighting. And it's just so incredibly frustrating to work hard on a project in whatever capacity just for it to turn out corny, embarrassing, and just plain old cringeworthy. But again, in order to make sure your project doesn't come out like that, you must be committed to quality. So all of those steps, making sure your script is a quality script, that your production it has high quality standards, and that you are, during your editing phase, making sure that your cut is of quality. And so in order to do that, you cannot cut corners. You have to have these specific standards, which include going through all phases of production. And most people think that there are only 3 phases. They break down the phases to pre-production, production, and post, right? And I'm here to tell you that there's actually 7 phases of production. What? 7? Yes. That's how I've broken down my page to screen method. And so there's development, pre-production, production, post-production, marketing, distribution, monetization. And so ultimately, the development process is the screenwriting and the writing, developing your story, writing your story. So everything from your idea phase to a finished script. Once your script is final, then you go to your pre-production phase, and that's preparing for production, making sure the casting, the hiring, the posting your roles and the auditioning and the rehearsals and breaking down your screenplay, like all of these different things you have to do during your pre-production, securing location, all of those things. And then once you've done that, you set your call sheet, and you probably, some people may not know what that is, but basically a call sheet is the information that everyone goes by so they know when they are going to be on set and what time and everything is happening for the crew and the cast, and what shots and what scenes we're going to be shooting that day, and all the pertinent information. So after that's all set, then you're on set and you're on production. And there's specific things that you do on production that leads you to a successful post-production. And one thing that I really think is important, that there's a transition point from production to post-production that sometimes gets overlooked, and if it's not planned properly, it will definitely affect your end result. Because if you, after you're done shooting and you don't have a process to drop all of your footage, your audio, and all of those things in a certain way, then once it's in post, you may, if you did it right, it makes the post process easier. If you did it wrong, it is disastrous. And then once your project is done, you have to be really clear where your project fits into the market. Is your project for your own platform? Like if you're going to use IGTV or YouTube, or create your own subscription model that, for yourself, for your own audience. Or if you're interested in the Film Fest process, which is a completely different process if you're trying to set up your marketing strategy for the Film Fest market or circuit. And then if you are wanting to get an aggregator to bring it to the distribution platforms like Netflix or Amazon or so on and so forth. And if you wanted to go the movie theater route, which is also a viable way once, things open back up. And then being clear and knowing what the strategy to monetization, how are you going to actually make money from your project, and being really clear and having a blueprint for all of these different phases. I had a client who had a screenplay. This is him, Chris Bray. Had written a screenplay with a great message, but it wasn't executed properly. And he had went on, had he went straight to production as he originally wanted to do. He was rushing to get to production. He just wanted to get on set. He thought he had his actors together. He thought he figured it all out. Had he done that, the project wouldn't have made it, or it wouldn't have been as impactful as it's going to be. So we ended up working on his screenplay together for a couple months, and now we are in pre-production, and he has an investor and Hollywood producer attached, and we will be going into production in a few months. And he was able to do that by learning pre-writing and rewriting strategies that really helped him craft his story page by page, scene by scene, sequence by sequence, beat by beat, and act by act. And most people don't realize that there is an actual process for creating a writing plan and a certain approach to writing each draft in every genre. But it doesn't end there. It's also a formula for every genre and subgenre. Like a romantic comedy has a different formula than a romantic comedy ensemble, or a superhero story has a different formula than a sci-fi superhero story. Even more seasoned writers are just not even familiar with those type of formulas. Oh, this thing has a mind of its own. Oh, maybe that was the next slide. I'm not even there yet, but who cares? I get on my tangents. And so most people get this like popular, they go to Amazon, they get the popular screenwriting books that are out there, and they tend to use all the same screenwriting formulas. And one of my favorites when I first started writing was Making a Good Script Great by Linda Sega. That was really helpful. And also Save the Cat and the Screenwriter's Bible. But the problem with that is everyone is using those books, and when you know them, the story becomes super predictable. And if you've read them over and over and over again, like I have in the past, you can watch a movie and call out the exact beat or the scenes that they're in. You'll call out that, oh, that's the reversal, or that's the all is lost moment. And if you've watched enough movies, you start to anticipate the story plots and twists. But I do things a bit different. It's my own secret sauce. For example, let's just say you are writing a superhero story. There is a formula for every story type, and I usually create or craft or customize like a beat sheet for my clients. For example, something like this, like let me see and make sure my slides are right. Let's see if my slides are right. That was a loud car going by. Okay, perfect. Here it is. Um, uh, so there's a formula that I use that I've kind of customized, right? And this is, I call this the superhero beat sheet. But this particular one is, I have several, but this particular one is starting from the story of the antagonist. So starting from the villain first. And so starting from the villain, there we go. This thing has a mind of its own. I'm trying to tell y'all. So starting from the villain first, this would be, and typically this has about 40 beats that I hit. This is just a sample of 6, but there's 40 for this particular beat sheet. But you start with the threat or origin of the threat, right? So that is if like this was like one of those treasure type things, like someone's about to take away something that's gonna like kill the whole planet or something, right? And then after that there's a prequel, like there's a prequel war, so this is like the war before the main war, and some great loss, someone dies, or there's this ultimate sacrifice. And then the threat that we were first introduced to is now buried or hidden or forgotten, and then years go by later and the bad guy is introduced, and they, when you introduce the bad guy, they have some type of nuance, and it's like they're cool or quirky or cruel or just something to just kind of identify the character of the bad guy, right? Then you illustrate and understand the bad guy's why, like something is driving the bad guy to do what they're doing, and this next sequence is showing what that is. And then you introduce the protagonist in their ordinary normal life, and you introduce them before something actually happens. So anyways, this is about 40 beats. And some of my others have between 25 to about 52. And I create new ones on my own or for my clients. And I have these beat sheets like this for different genres that I have created. And I provide these to my students and clients, my producing partners, so their story like has a plan. And this is just one of the many tools that I provide to make sure that the story that they are telling is the most exciting and kick-ass version of it. And because most aspiring screenwriters or filmmakers, I have to be honest, they're going to fail. And they're never going to make it. And the story that they have in them will die with them when they do fail. And you do not want to die with that story still inside. I mean, it's a cause for like depression, depressive states, when you're just not living your dream or your passion, There are millions of aspiring producers and writers and filmmakers and screenwriters and actors and trying to like pitch to Hollywood, and even people with amazing content that will never see the light of day. So unless you have a proven and tried strategy to pull your idea out of your mind and a clear development plan to execute that idea through all phases of production, your story will just not see the light of day. You have to take it into your own hands. You can't wait on other people to, tell you what you or validate you. Which brings me to the slide was for that. Anyways, it brings me to the key secret. So do you know the difference between having a good idea for a movie and writing a masterpiece? There are millions of ideas out there, but executing that idea requires two unique skills that not many people have. And I call it the story flow and follow through, just the first one, and objectivity, as my children in the background, for the second one. You need those two. You need to have story flow and follow through, and you need objectivity. Okay? You don't want to be that idea person, the ones with all these cool ideas or half-baked ideas, but they're never committed enough to the idea to complete it until its execution, and then not have the objectivity necessary to refine it to be in its optimal draft. Your idea is just, let me just be honest, your idea is it's not that cool. It's not cool. I know you may think it is, but trust me, it needs development, it needs refinement, and it needs objectivity to be great, okay? Sometimes people skip that. They go straight to production with a script that needed more work, and that happens very often, especially in the independent world. They just go like, oh, this is great, and all of their friends think it's great. They just can't wait to start. The actors see their long dialogue and they're like, yes, I have a monologue to to do, and the monologue maybe shouldn't be there. But anyways, sometimes projects can take years to complete, and sometimes they can take months. And either way, you have to be able to take your idea out of your head and into a writing plan that helps you make the story exciting, and builds memorable characters and crafts plots that will engage the audience. And there is a quicker and simpler way to do this. And instead of being in an ideation phase for years and then trying to manufacture your idea without the right strategy, you must dial into your story and dial into your story you're telling, and making sure that you're constructing the plots, creating the characters, and crafting your writing in a way that activates an audience or a reader. Okay, so there are specific pre-writing strategies that do just that, and all you need to know is that your character is. All you need to know is what your character wants, and what is getting in the way of what they want, and then what actions they will take to solve it. And I'm going to say that again, because this is really, I want everyone to write this down, because this is the 3-question setup that really helps people do things, get their story in an outline, okay? So you need to find out what your character wants, what is getting in the way, what's stopping them or preventing them from getting what they want, and what activity or actions will your character take in order to solve it. And this really simple pre-writing strategy, once you do this, your pre-writing plan is underway. You answer these 3 questions over and over and over, and you have drafted your first outline and given drive and motivation to your character and the shaping of your conflicts and your plots. And it will keep each scene engaged and entertained. And once you've learned a few pre-writing strategies that are as simple as this one, then it reduces your writing from years to months, and from months to weeks. So just depending on the kind of, the speediness of you individually, that will determine how long it will take. And so you must craft, which brings me, which I'm already there, the slide already shows the key secret number 3, is you must craft your story into the proper screenplay format that is industry level. But that does not mean you simply get a script software system. There is a certain industry attracting, audience engaging way your script must be and look like, okay? And it's a skill that can be only developed, once you know what to do. But if you just, and I'm telling you, this is a mistake that people do. They will get the script, the formatting software, right? And they will assume that that's what that's it. Oh, I got the formatting right, and it's not right. Some people don't even realize that they have to write their script in a certain way beyond the right formatting, right? There's something beyond format. It's called form. Hitting the story beats, introducing your characters a certain way, igniting story pacing and at the certain and the right time. And most people think that if they get the software program that fixes it. And that's all they have to do. But that's like the bare minimum. Okay? Writing on form is so much more. There's an actual format to every genre. There's an actual format for every medium. Like there's a difference between writing a drama full hour to a network hour. There's a different way to write a rom-com traditional from a rom-com ensemble. If you don't know what a rom-com is, it's a romantic comedy. There are formulas for every genre, and if you don't know what they are, you will be writing a story in script format the wrong way and wondering why it's not attracting the right people, or wondering why the movie didn't land and your project turned out whack. So having a genre and a subgenre formula is key to writing your kick-ass page-turning screenplay, okay? Because the tone matters, the style matters. Like, just think about it. If you think about a superhero movie like Batman, Superman, and the Guardians of the Galaxy, they're all superhero movies, right? But they differ in tone, style, format. You know what I mean? Like, there is a difference. And, I just need to make sure that that's very clear. And I reinforce it in my slide. Format and form matter. Write on form, write in the right format. It's super important. Okay. So it says key secret number 4, and I feel like I skipped something, but I did not. Okay. So we're just going through it quicker than I expected. So now we're going to get to our key secret number 4. Once your screenplay is in its final draft, it's time to prepare for production and pre-production phase. It's such an underestimated step, and I know so many amateurs filmmakers who really don't do the prep work that is pivotal, and they don't even know how to do it effectively. Sometimes people just skip this step entirely, or they rush right through it, only to realize that during production, all the key elements they had to prepare for are missing, whether that's props, whether that's location security. Just skipping this or rushing through this process is the cause of low morale on a production set. I volunteered at a set, and the filmmaker, the director, producer didn't even plan lunch. So they just expected people to just run right through lunch. And then when it was lunchtime, it was find your own food. They didn't even want to pay for the food. And at the very minimum, she could have ordered pizza, or he could have, I'm not going to say she or he, could have ordered pizza or done something, and that just frustrates your team members and your actors and your crew. Like, if you didn't even think enough about them to give them a break or give them an opportunity to eat. And so again, this is, lack of planning. You know what I mean? It's important to maintain relationships and avoid getting a bad reputation in the business. You want your cast and your crew to trust you and work with you again and again. And it's nothing like having a synergetic set and hardworking cast and crew that trust you and your vision. And in order to do that, you have to know how to communicate your vision, inspire your crew, and activate your actors. Just point blank, period. So having a blueprint to prep for production is key, and having a shootable script. So this also helps you to stay on budget. And if you skip this step, even one step, you will be on a set aimlessly. Everything that could go wrong will go wrong. Things will be missing. Something will break. So if you're avoiding to plan properly and rushing to production before you're ready, that guarantees that your project will end up amateur looking, something you are not going to be proud of, and something you don't want to show to other people. And it's just a waste of time. Okay. So I just feel like this, it's just weird. I like Google Slides because I think it looks clean. And this is my first time using it. Anyway, so again, you have to apply the right production and post-production strategies that simplify. That's important. Simplify the production process because it's already convoluted. So why make it more complicated, right? And once you do that, it will reduce your costs. Like it will help with your budget. I call it creative budgeting. You know, my micro budgets, I know what is important to pay for and what I will not. And most of the time, the reason why projects go from could be great to amateur is because they didn't know how to prepare it the right way. They rushed from script to production without knowing how to break down their script into a shootable script. And that's so important. And you need to be taught how to do it right. Especially, it's different than when you have a big major budget company or you're doing it from an independent. And if they didn't have the strategy to cast right and didn't know how to crew up with the right talent and skilled professionals, when they, again, have a slimmer budget, they allowed their inexperience to get them to make hasty, quick, uninformed decisions that had they had like the right blueprint or method, the project would have been quality and it would have been wonderful. And who wants to be embarrassed by their finished projects? You know, like, do all this work on a project just for it to turn out corny, build relationships and have people trust in them and just to let people down and never deliver on your promises. To have that story that was burning inside you go flat on execution, no one does. And we came up with our own signature page to screen method just to streamline all of the production phases. So at the end of the day, you had a film project or media content that you were proud of. Look, Hollywood is changing. And right now, you're either an insider or you're an outsider. When you're inside, there are rules. When you're an outside, you don't even know what those rules are. And you can get a coach like I did to demystify it, and you can use this time in the world to pivot and create a new lane to dominate in, because all of the greats were disruptors. They came in and they broke rules by knowing those rules and coming up with smart strategies that executed that plan. And this is just a picture I threw in there. All these actors, are actors turned producer, directors. Some of them are directors, producers, and these are all actors that were in my projects. So I threw that in just to make me smile. Yay, they're awesome. These are talented actors. All three of them are phenomenal actors, and they also produce and direct now, and so they're pretty cool. So what is the key secret number 5? We're almost to the ending, okay? Let's get into it. So the old Hollywood way is you have to query, convince, and pitch, and play the Hollywood game and find a rich person to invest in you or know the right people to get into the game. You have to move to LA to even be taken seriously, struggle with low pay in an entry-level position regardless of your educational level, work your way from the bottom to the middle, pray to be greenlit from some gatekeeper, and eat and sleep the industry to no end. All this for a maybe or a small little crack in the door. Not to mention the culture of sexism or lack of diversity. It's all about who you know or who knows you, and all the while, you're not telling the story you want to tell because you had to modify or commercialize it. That at the end of the day, the movie or show you were passionately wanting to tell is just an eggshell version. and lost all the soul it once had because you had to make changes to satisfy the studio or network or producers, right? But nowadays, you can create your own buzz, your own lane and audience organically and strategically if you know what you need to do and when to do it. And you are not limited to networks or studio approval. You build your own autonomy in the business of you, your own independent production company or your own platform, or know how to strategically walk it into the right door and simply building your own following. It's just a matter of knowing and executing a custom plan. It's not that complicated. And so our new way is you develop your kick-ass screenplay using pre-writing exercises that set you up with a proven writing plan without needing to write years and years before the story is cracked, right? Craft the perfect script during the development process, and then when it's ready to produce, break the script into a production script with budget-conscious tips. Prepare for your production where you are and with your local film community, and you produce it yourself. Like, you do it. Just do it. Imagine like how empowering that is. You having the keys to your own destiny, not waiting in the balance for someone else to validate you and them having the final say. And you must know your roles every phase of production, all the way to distribution, marketing, and monetization phases. Okay? Does that make sense? You know, in those different roles, you know, when you're writing, you're a writer, and that's what you stick to. When it's time to develop your, prepare for a production, your pre-production phase, you're a producer. Those are things you're doing as a producer. And if you choose to direct, or if you want to hire a director, you know how to do that. But if you choose to direct, that's the role. You're a director. And then once you're done with your production, you're back in post, you become a producer, and executive producer, making sure that things get done. And like knowing what your roles are and not kind of doing all of the things. I think that was a really important thing that I learned, was when I was writing. And then when I was directing, I would look at what I've written. I'm like, I don't need that. Oh, I don't need that. This visual intent already did that. So why is this character saying this again? And I dumped my own dialogue because I wasn't married to the writer anymore, because now I'm in director mode. And knowing what a director's approach is and what they're looking for is a very important key understanding of knowing your roles. There are people teaching who have never done what you want to do, or they have been doing it in Hollywood and stuck in like the Hollywood norms and don't understand the independent method. They're used to like high budgets and network execs and studio crews, and they can't even conceive the minimalist approach to production, let alone conceive our page to screen method. And it's time for revolutionaries to rise up and build their own legacies using their unique voices. The time is right now. We have so many options now to get our projects seen to larger and broader or even niche audiences. We have hundreds of streaming options and millions of avenues, more than we've ever had before. Content is in demand, and the storytellers with a unique perspective, a fresh, have a refreshed, let me go back. I feel like I'm skipping something. They have like a fresh perspective, a unique voice, and just someone who values quality, and they want to disrupt the status quo, and they're ready to boldly tell their stories. If that is you, then you're my people, okay? I know I can support you. I know I can help you. And so I hope that all makes sense. So as I said, today I promised I'd explain the key secrets to develop your idea into a viable and marketable screenplay. Even if you've never even seen a script before, I did that. We discussed our unique 7 phases of production called the page to screen method, which are development, where you take your idea and turn it into a script. Pre-production, where you prepare for production and your plan for your budget. Production, where you learned all the phases of production, but ultimately the right way to produce your content or film project. Post-production, marketing, distribution, monetization, all of those phases. We covered that there are many roles you will have to know so that you can ensure quality, professional, industry-looking project. We talked about specific pre-writing strategies that will take your story out of your head and into a masterpiece of a screenplay. And we talked about how to do all this without spending months and months and years working endlessly on your project with no end in sight, by getting mentorship, phase specific blueprints, and customized strategies. And again, I'm gonna discuss this again. This is what you need to win, okay? You need a fresh perspective with a burning desire to tell a story, okay? A strategic method to get your cool idea out of your head and into a writing plan. You need a kick-ass screenplay. You can't do nothing unless the script is dope. Let's just call it what it is, right? And then a production script with budget-conscious strategies during your preparation, okay, during pre-production. And a page-to-screen method for all the rest of the phases. And you can continue, and I say this with love, you can continue to be haunted by the ideas in your head and go another 5 or 10 years or even more wishing and hoping you had the confidence and the right plan to produce your project yourself, okay? You can go it alone and have a subpar version of your project that looks cheesy, corny, and amateurish, and not have the support, the objectivity and guidance to ensure you stay on track and committed. You can keep taking classes from different gurus, or free thing here, or download there, and from gurus that really don't even work with you personally. Like they don't even know you, or only help with just one aspect. Like they're just helping you with the screenwriting or just the cinematography piece, but not all of the things together. And you can go the old Hollywood way, where you're at the mercy of what the execs and studios say and what's trending and what they're buying, and following that whole thing. It's all up to who knows you in that industry. Like if they don't know who you are, you don't matter. Or if you want to finally develop that dope story into a screenplay, be guided step by step in all phases of production, and finally have a quality project you are proud of that's ready for distribution. Now, if that's what you want, now you have a choice, okay? My team and I have set aside time to speak to serious creatives and aspiring content creators that include actors, screenwriters, directors, filmmakers, and storytellers who are ready to disrupt the industry with their passion project or even projects for the next 48 hours, so we can personally see how we can help you. You can apply all of these strategies to your story. Whatever your fears are, your concerns, what your challenges are, what you don't know, we can and we will support you and guide you during all of the phases. We will get on the phone and for about 45 minutes, sometimes less, sometimes a little more. And on this session, we'll work with you to craft a step-by-step production plan so you can execute each phase of production with confidence. And this will cost you nothing. Yes, it's free. I know. What's wrong with me? No, seriously. But you must be open-minded. I think that being open-minded, creative, and receptive to feedback is very key. You do have to have like an original voice and a story you want to tell. So there is an application process, just to be clear. So once you schedule your your time with me or one of my other producing partners, it's not just like, oh, I schedule time and you do this. You do have to apply. You do, because we want you, we want you to be committed, and we want you to really care about high quality looking projects. We want you to have like a high morale for your cast and crew. You must have an admiration for story and characters and movies, and like there's some stuff, you know what I'm saying? Yes, we will help you and help you be supported and guide you, but if you're not open to that, then it doesn't work. And I am the most transparent person. And the other thing that I keep reinforcing throughout this webinar is you must be yearning to tell this particular story. It has to be in your heart. And you have to have like this deep yearning to tell it. And I know I keep saying that, but you'd be surprised that people just have like a cool idea, and the reason why they're not successful is just because the idea didn't drive them to completion. And I only work with creatives that are incredibly original. They have to have like a unique voice that they want to explore. It's nice if they have prior production experience, but it's not a requirement. And just respect for the art and science of this particular medium. Film and television is super cool. It's very powerful. You can literally change people's minds, hearts, and spirits with the right kind of project. And if you're really serious about producing, high quality projects, then this is definitely for you. This is not for someone who wants like a quick fix. And I just want to do, like, they just have a minute. They don't want it to be great. Like, I want it to be great. I want to be associated with people who want it to be great, period, point blank. I absolutely reject clients who don't respect quality. They don't treat or respect people or their craft, and they don't have any innovation or original thoughts of their own. I don't want people stealing other people's ideas. I'm incredibly original. And if you're the type that's just regurgitating other people's ideas, and I don't work well with those types of people. So if this sounds like this is something you have been waiting for, then schedule a story strategy session with me. And I know you're like, well, why do you do this? Oh, I do this because I want to empower people and activate people to go obsessively towards their passion and dreams. We help people know how to produce their projects independently, professionally, and passionately. Okay. Plus, we know that you might want our help to achieve your goals. And if you do want our help, if you don't know I exist, you don't know what I can do, then how could I help you? So this is the reason why we set this up, and we can discuss it and see if it works with us, if it's a good fit for both of us. And if it's not, we are so 100% willing to share what those other resources are, or and refer you to others that are more fitting for where you're at. And if my mentor is a better fit for you, or if another guru in this particular space would be a better fit for you. So my calendar is extremely limited. I'm super busy, but so if you want to sign up, you definitely want to do that like immediately. We're only opening this up a couple times a year. So it's now or it's next year. Okay, like that's it. Like it's not next year in the beginning of the year. It's now or next year, like closer to the end again. I really enjoy sharing this information with you. This is the 5 key secrets to develop, write, produce, and distribute your professional passion project on a micro budget. We discussed all 7 phases of production. So now go ahead, go to the pagetoscreenmethod.com/apply. You want to sign up now, today. The slots are extremely limited. You want to apply for your spot, schedule a call with me or one of my producing partners. We can't wait to support you and connect with you on the call and join forces if that's what we're supposed to do together. Again, pagetoscreenmethod.com/apply. Schedule your time with me, do the application process to see if you can, if you fit into one of our opportunities to work together. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for being here with me. Gratitude.